Now let's look at the compound interest formula. This is the formula we're going to use if we compound our interest more than one time per year. We'll also see we can use it for the one time a year, but it's going to give us back the formula we're accustomed to using. So the formula says B, the final balance, is equal to P, which is what we sometimes call the principal or the initial deposit, multiplied by the quantity 1 plus R divided by N, all raised to the NT. Notice the R divided by N, if we think back to our previous example, where we did 6% compounded quarterly, we would have taken the 6 divided by 4, and that's where we get the 1.5%. And then notice our exponent is NT, which is the number of compoundings times the number of years, or in other words, the total number of times we're going to compound. Let's take a look at an example. Suppose we're going to take our $1,000, we're going to deposit it at an annual interest rate of 6%. I'd like to know how much is in the account after 10 years if we compound a couple of different ways. First of all, annually. This is what we started off and did in the first 3 sections of the chapter. So if we did that, the balance we would have at the end of 10 years is the initial balance, the $1,000, multiplied by the quantity 1 plus 0.06. Now we're only compounding annually, so we divide by 1, and then all raised to the NT, where N is 1 and T is 10 years. So we'd have 1,000 multiplied by 1.06 raised to the 10th power. Now be really careful when you're doing the exponent, because some people forget that the entire exponent would need to be in its own set of parentheses, which I illustrated by putting an extra set in this particular example. So we would actually need to be just real careful that you don't raise it to the first and multiply by 10, that you really do raise it to the first times 10 power. Let's take a look at quarterly. So if we did that, B would be 1,000 multiplied by the quantity 1 plus 0.06 to the 4, or divided by 4. So there's our doing it quarterly. And then think about it, if we do it quarterly for 10 years, we're going to compound 40 times, or 4 times 10. If we do that, we get $1,814.02. I encourage you to make sure that you can do both of these in your calculator, even treating, without doing the 4 times 10 is 40, making sure that you could do raised to the 4 times 10 and get exactly the numbers that I have. If you can't, you'll want to talk to me or somebody else about how to put this in your calculator.